Hey people, hey, we're back, welcome back. New dorm, back at school. This is books I read in Q3 of this year, so July through September. I know that I said last time that I was going to be more active on YouTube, and then I wasn't, but whatever. I definitely read a lot less in Q3 than the rest of the year because I simply wasn't in the mood to read, really, especially once I got back to school. So this should not be as long of a video as the other ones. Again, I am at school, and you know the drill. When I'm at school, I don't really have all my books with me, so I'm just gonna put all the covers in. So the first book I read in July, this seems like literally decades ago. The first book I read in July was Little Women, the official movie companion. My mom actually bought this for me from Orchard House. She went there over the summer. I'm really jealous that I couldn't go, but it was like a week-long trip, and I was only really interested in going to the Little Women locations, and that was not the point of the vacation. So, you know, it's whatever. But I read it from July 2nd to July 3rd. I gave it 4 stars. It's cutesy, like, I already knew most of the information though, because that's my favorite movie of all time. Next I read The Iron King by Julie Kagawa. I got it from the library. I was kind of at a point where I was trying not to buy books. I was picking random stuff from the library. So this was one. I liked the cover. I read this from July 7th to July 9, and I gave it 3 stars. It's pretty much like a less slow burn version of The Cruel Prince, and I'm like pretty sure this came out before The Cruel Prince, but I really prefer Cruel Prince, so I'm probably not going to carry on with the rest of the series. Next was The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. I had already read the guest list earlier this year, yeah, I think in May, and I read this from July 13 to July 15. I gave it 3 stars. I had tried to pick this up, I think in like March over spring break, and I read a couple pages and then had to give it back to the library and come back to school, so I never got into it, but I decided to try it again when I was at the library over the summer, and like I said, 3 stars. It started super slow, but got better about halfway through, but like sitting here now, I can barely tell you what happened in that book. It was just not the most interesting to me. Next, I read The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the second book in the Raven Cycle series, and I read this from July 17 to July 18. I give it 3.5 stars, and for context, I gave the first Raven Cycle book 4 stars. So I didn't like it as much as the first one, but it was still good. And to me, there was just nothing really that outstanding. The plot was kind of so-so, but the characters, I think, are kind of what make this series. So when they lean more into the plot heaviness, they kind of lose me. It's really the characters that I am here for. And I still haven't read the 3rd and 4th one. That should be the thing I read next. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna read as soon as I finish this video. So next I read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and you guys are probably all like, oh, this is a reread, right? Like, this is a reread, right? No, I've never read Red Queen before, and I know it's a book for like 13-year-olds, but I feel like I needed to have a more well-rounded view of the dystopian books, because I feel like I've only ever read critically acclaimed dystopian books, and I guess this one is, or used to be, but I feel like now in the modern day most people are hating on it. So I was like, I need to give it a try. I need to read some more bad dystopian books. But honestly, I didn't think it was awful. Like, okay, I read it from July 19 to July 24, and I give it 3.5 stars. So, you know, middle of the road. There were so many plot twists, but like still so predictable. I think I probably guessed the whole book within the first couple chapters. Nonetheless, it was still entertaining, just not something that I would reread for sure, and I don't think I'm gonna read the rest of the series either. Next I read The Weight of Feathers by Anne-Marie McLemore from July 24 to July 25th, and I give it 4 stars. This book was so unexpectedly good. Like, I took this off of a recommendation from a TikTok or a YouTube video, and I just bought it off Thrift Books because it was pretty cheap, and it was so good. Like, it was way better than I expected. I could not put it down. Next, I read Layover by Emily Henry, and I read it on July 27. This isn't really a book per se, it's more like a short story type thing, novella, not even a novella, honestly, it's not anywhere near that long. It's on Emily Henry's website, and it's kind of this collaboration between all of the characters from her first 3 books, I believe. It definitely doesn't have Happy Place, but I think it has the people from the first 3 books. I give it 4 stars. It's adorable. And I didn't, going into it, know that it was a crossover from all her books. I kind of just thought it was a beach read extension, so it was cutesy. Next I read, this is a reread, The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan, and read it from July 29th to July 30th, and I give it 4 stars. Again, it's good, it's classic. I don't really have anything new or interesting to say about it, so 4 stars, you know, it's a classic. I read it at the beach too, so it gave some effect. All right, so that was July. Moving on to August. In August, I read The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. You know, I was doing a Percy Jackson reread at this point. I was trying to ramp up for the show to come out in December. So, The Titan's Curse from July 31st to August 1st. Again, I read this at the beach, and I also read the next one at the beach, and the next one at the beach. So, but I give it 4 stars. Again, I honestly don't have anything new or interesting to say about the Percy Jackson books. I just love them. They're so entertaining. I will read them until I'm 80. So, I read The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan, and I read it from August 3rd to August 4th, and I give it 5 stars. It's my favorite Rick book. Everything I ever wanted more out of this book. It's got that drama. It's got the battles. It's got the romance. It's got the friendship. Like, it's just... And this is probably my favorite of the Greek mythological topics that they cover in the Percy Jackson books, like the Labyrinth and Daedalus and everything. It's just so... I love it. Calypso, like, oh. Then I read The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan, and I read it from August 6th to August 8th, so this was the last book I read at the beach. I give it 4 stars. And I'm really glad the series didn't actually end with this one, because Heroes of Olympus series feels like a much needed progression for the characters. I absolutely cannot wait for Chalice of the Gods, which I haven't ordered yet. It came out last week. I'm probably gonna borrow my friend Allison's copy because I don't know. I'm debating if I should buy it on paperback or hardback, because all of my other Percy Jackson books are paperback. Half of my Heroes of Olympus are paperback and half are hardcover, and then all of my Trials of Apollo are hardcover. So it's like in release order, it would make sense because I went from paperback to hardcover, and all of Trials of Apollo is hardcover. But if I'm gonna put it with the rest of my Percy Jackson books, it's gonna be the only one that's hardcover, and it's stressing me out. So comment your thoughts. Should I buy it now and get the hardcover, or should I wait until it comes out on paperback? So that's all for the Percy Jackson rereads. Then I reread The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Genius, genius, genius. I love her. She is such an author. I reread this in anticipation for the movie that's coming out next month. I'm so excited. And I read this from August 8th to August 13th. I give it 4 stars. First time I read it, I think I gave it 3.5. It wasn't my favorite the first time I read it, and then I kind of sat with it for a while, and I was like, ooh, wait, this might cook. Like, this might cook. Give her a second. So then I reread it, and I loved it. Like, I loved it. And I feel like if I reread it again, I would love it even more. It might just keep going up and up and up every time I read it. But I give it 4 stars, like I said. I'm kind of so obsessed with this book, and I could absolutely talk about the ending for days. I want to claim my spot as a fan before the movie comes out, so. Next I read Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I read this from August 15th to August 22nd. I give it 4 stars. August was kind of a hit month for books. Granted, all of them except Legendborn are rereads, but sometimes that just is the vibe. So, 4 stars. It was really interesting and entertaining, but I thought it fell off a little bit in the middle, and then it picked back up. But I don't know. It was like it needed a little bit of an extra. But I did still really like it, and I really did enjoy it. Like I said, 4 stars. That's pretty high. And I thought it was a very original story, very original premise. I love a tie-in from a fable or a myth into a modern day story with a teenager. Percy Jackson, you know? Like, I just love that trope. So, last book I read in August was Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Third time reading this. I read it twice last year, and then this year. I read from August 27 to August 28. I give it 5 stars. It is my favorite romance book. I'm gonna be so real with you. And some of the girls won't get it. They really won't. But for me, it's just perfect. And I've talked about it twice before on this channel. So head back to, I think it was maybe October and November last year was when I read it for the first time, if you want more in-depth thoughts. Now in September. So the final month of the video. In September was the month where I kind of really slowed down and wasn't reading a lot. So I read like one book the second week of September and then stopped because I was actually reading and proofreading and editing my friend Reese's book. She's a creative writing major and she's been like, you know, doing her thing, writing books, trying to get them sent to publishers. So I have been helping out a little bit with that. And I wanted to like dedicate all my extra time to that rather than doing school and reading and her book. And I wanted to dedicate all my extra time to her book. So I kind of slowed down on the reading for a while. And so yeah, that's a little bit of context. So the first book I read in September was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and I read it from September 8 to September 9. I give it 3.5 stars. I thought it was entertaining and fun, but it was honestly a little bit of nonsense, which is fine if that's what you like in a romance book. If you've read it, you kind of, I think, understand what I mean, but I don't know how to describe that to someone who hasn't read it. Editing, Abby. What I kind of mean by that is it's like silly. The dialogue's silly, the premise is silly, everything about it is kind of silly. And even though there's kind of high stakes, I feel like it's not taken seriously. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but that's just not my favorite. Next I read Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Speaking of nonsense, I don't want to be mean. I'm sorry, never mind. And I read this from September 25th to September 26th. So I give it 3 stars. Again, it was fun, but it was weird. And Ali Hazelwood is chronically millennial. If you love being a millennial and millennial humor, you will love these books and you will love all her books. But I'm on the younger crowd, so I can't say that I love that. I do think she's doing an interesting thing with her books. I like that she's kind of sticking to a idea. Science girl, science guy. And I don't think she needs to mix it up. It kind of hits every time, but it's just not my personal favorite. So in terms of her books, I would say my favorite is Love Hypothesis. And then I feel like Love Theoretically and Love on the Brain are tied. I don't know, I don't really remember Love on the Brain that much, but I definitely Love Hypothesis on top. Next I read Shatter Me by Touré Mafi. I've read her book This Woven Kingdom before, and I feel like that was toward the beginning of this year or the end of last year. Guys, too many books, not enough brain space to remember when I read them. But September 27 to September 28, I was profusely against reading this book to begin with, and the series is also like 9 books, like 5 main books, maybe like 4 novellas or something. But my cousin Campbell was insisting, and she's been insisting for like a year, so I was like, fine, I'll read it. I gave it 3 stars. It was better than I expected, but like I said, I did not expect much. I'm really interested to see what else happens. This book particularly didn't really like do anything for me, but I do want to continue on with the series because I'm very interested to see what kind of happens. I actually don't have spoilers for this series, weirdly enough. So yeah, the writing style honestly didn't particularly bother me, but I don't think it did what she wanted it to do. Like, she really was like, I want to make history, and she didn't really do that. And if she did do that, it wasn't in a good way. So yeah, but I know the writing style, like with the strikeout is what I'm referring to, really bothers some people. Again, it did not bother me. I just thought it was nothing super remarkable. And the last book I read in September was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter. And I read this from September 29 to September 30th. And I give it 3.5 stars. It's cutie, but it's not my fave. So that's pretty much all I have to say on it. And that's pretty much all I have to say for all my books in September. This, like I said, short little video, kind of wrapping up those end of summer, beginning of fall months. We've got one video left for the year. Am I gonna reach my goal? Currently I'm sitting at 88 books, and that includes the first one I've read in October, so I definitely will, because my goal is 101. But how far above the goal will I go? That is a curious thing to see. And I don't know how many of you followed me for the book videos. Most people, I feel like, follow me for the vinyl record video, which there will be another one coming at the end of the year. But anyways, I don't know how many of you follow me just for the book videos. I don't know how many of you follow me for the record videos, but exciting news, I'm going to be doing the Disney College program next semester. So I will probably be doing vlogs, Disney vlogs, like what? That's so exciting. So most of you don't like know me personally, but what I want to do with my life is work for Disney. So this is a great start and I'm really excited. So yeah, I'm interested to see what all that's about. But yeah, I probably will not do a big ambitious reading goal for next year because I am gonna focus on, you know, work. And after that, unfortunately, school, because I'll be a junior in college, which is a scary, scary thought. I don't want to think about that. But yeah, so this will be the last kind of big year for reading. Last year was the first year I did a big goal like this, and I kind of did it again this year to prove that it was a thing I could be consistent with, rather than just like, hey, I read 101 books one year, or 100 books one year, and I'm not gonna read again at all the year after. No, it's something that I wanted to prove that I could be consistent with, to myself more than anything. But last year I read 100, this year my goal is 101, and next year I'm not probably gonna set as high of a goal. It'll probably be like 50. I don't know, I'll sit with it, sit with the idea, and, you know, we'll see where it goes. But I still will do videos next year. It probably just will be less consistent and different content, I guess. So, you know, stick around, see what happens. I hope everybody enjoyed summer vlog. That was a really fun time. Per usual, leave me book recommendations in the comments. I'll put my Goodreads in the description if you want to follow, be friends on there, keep up a little bit more consistently with my reviews and ratings. And yeah, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, bell, and thanks for watching, of course. Thanks for watching. See everybody later.